Hello everybody, welcome to Lupus Fitness 333. My name is Angel. Please like and subscribe. Today's video is going to be philosophical talk number 19, and we're going to be exploring guilt and shame and practical ways to get out of that. Okay? How that relates to the content that I make is simply that sometimes you may go down the dark path of believing that you deserve what happened, or that you feel guilty that it happened, or that you're ashamed that this happened to you. Now, I want to just say that shame is a very complex and very detrimental feeling. Okay? Shame is a prison. Usually shame is thrusted upon you by someone, something, or an idea of self. You understand? Now I'm going to say a little bit of specifics or examples. Could be your parents, could be your friends, could be a creed or a religion, and lastly, it could be a self-image problem, meaning that you have an image of yourself that you probably may or may not be able to live up to anymore, and that may make you feel, again, ashamed of what happened, believing that it's something you can't come out of. Now, shame, like I said, is a mental prison. It's a chain. It's a chain that stops you from growing. It stops you from exploring what could be, or accepting what has happened and learning from that mistake, okay? I know I used to go through it. Now, guilt, on the other hand, is acceptance of what happened, acceptance of what you did, and it's an acceptance of you feeling remorseful, but you have the attitude and you have the mentality to want to correct it actively. You understand? That's a better feeling to have than shame. All right? And again, how it attaches to what this channel is about is that we need to remove ourselves slowly from shame, if you are in that state of mind or that state of feeling, into guilt. That way you can move into being remorseful, and then from being remorseful to being proactive in getting yourself out of that emotionally and mentally. Okay? One way that we're going to do it through shame is by accepting. Accept it that it happened. All right? It's happening now. You have to deal with it now. Now, look at what you can do. Don't look at what you can't. Don't say that you can do something and then say, but I can't do this. Well, baby step it. What is it that you can do now that can help you get to the things you can't do right now, eventually opening the door to that? Okay? The way I overcame most of it was simply, I just broke down everything to baby steps. And at the beginning, yes, I was a bit embarrassed by it. But let me give you an example. Opening bottles of water was one of the things that I was completely embarrassed about, and I was ashamed of it. So I thought, all right, what is it that requires me to open bottles of water? Obviously, hand strength. All right, what can I do that will help me strengthen my hand strength? So I started doing that. I started doing, opening and closing my hands, stuff like that. Holding something for a long time till my grip strength got tired, letting it go, resting and doing it again. All with the intention of creating an action that helps me get closer to the goal that I ultimately wanted was to get out of feeling ashamed and going into a state of mind that I could potentially grow out of that and go into a higher state of feeling or a higher state of thinking. And it all comes down to an action, okay? That's how you get out of shame. Now, guilt, on the other hand, guilt is easier because, again, like I said, you already feel that you did something not right. Or, somebody had told you, hey, you should have not done that. Or, yeah, it sucks that you've gone through that. As far as dealing with life-altering and life-changing decisions, yes, you may or may not have somehow contributed to it, okay? But you're not allowing it to define you. So you go and figure out a way to become stronger, okay? So you'll actively look for things. Either you'll study things, you'll eat different, you'll move differently. Obviously, if you're in a condition where your whole body has to be rewired, then you're gonna be forced to have to look and do things differently. Okay? All right. Now, a little bit more in depth in shame again. Shame is part of the shadow. Now, the shadow is dangerous if, once again, not aligned with you. Why? Because it judges you and it punishes you. And that ultimately is you punishing yourself. It's you judging yourself. This has to be conquered, because then it might stop you from doing things that are ultimately beneficial for you. If unchecked, you will ultimately be a detriment to yourself. You understand? You'll talk yourself out of it. You'll say you look silly, or this seems kind of stupid, or you'll insult yourself because you don't feel worthy of it. Now, obviously, that's a confidence problem, but to me, confidence is so broad and never clearly defined, and how to obtain that. So I'm going to give you the tip, or the quote-unquote secret to it. It's just practice. Confidence is practice. Practicing something so much that you know how to do it. Now, obviously, the first steps is doing it in private, then slowly exposing yourself to doing it in public, and then start putting in your mind and on a positive outlook that people are looking at you all the time, looking at you doing it. You understand? And get used to doing it. Even if you make a mistake, just restart and do it all over again. Okay? Obviously, you can't control what people say or think about you, but they're not on your journey, so you can't be focused on that. You have to be focused on what's ultimately good for you. You understand? And again, practice leads to mastery. Mastery leads to confidence. And then you just restart the thing all over again. And that's basically how you obtain confidence, for those of you who didn't know. Now, again, guilt helps you repair. Why? Because you don't want to stay with guilt. And that's the beauty about guilt. You may feel guilty about it, but you're going to be in the state of mind of correction, of repairment, of improvement. That's a far better feeling than shame. Okay? So now, to end the video, guilt is better than shame. Shame is the lowest feeling. Alright? It's the bottom. Shame will lead to imprisonment, self-imprisonment, which will then lead to sadness, which will lead to depression, which depression will lead to anger. All of those are not good, okay? Anger can be good if you are in the state of mind of guilt. But in most cases, if you already went down the road to shame, once you get angry, you're not ultimately angry at what happened. You're ultimately angry at yourself. You don't want that. So you want to get out of shame and into guilt. And from guilt, you'll get into remorsefulness. Now, to get out of those two is you have to find and define a goal that will ultimately tell yourself that you're out of guilt and you're out of remorse because you've corrected it finally and you can let it go. Because ultimately you want to let go of those 3 feelings so you can move on to the next spiritual and mental level, which will be contentment. You understand? So that's today's video. Please like and subscribe. My name is Angel. Please do your best to help me reach 30 likes on this video, and please send this video to whoever you believe will benefit off of this. Thank you again. This is Lupus Fitness 323 philosophical talk number 19, overcoming guilt and shame.